Russell Harvard's a veteran actor who's making history. He was born deaf and usually plays a deaf character.
Yeah, but that's not the case with his latest role in To Kill a Mockingbird. Tonight, he's talking to our Chris Welch about the Broadway milestone.
I'd rather keep you as my father.
The characters in Russell Harvard's acting career have always had one thing in common.
I'd like to hear you speak instead of your little dog. Woof, 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 woof.
Here he is as the son of Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis in 2007's There Will Be Blood.
I'm going to Mexico with my wife. I'm going away from you.
A deaf hitman in the FX series Fargo.
He thinks every town should have a library.
I agree. Tell him I agree.
And in the 2015 deaf revival of Broadway's Spring Awakening.
Most of the time, if I get a role, it tends to be written for a deaf person, and it's a deaf character intentionally.
Which is why his latest gig...
I feel like it's a really historical moment for a deaf actor.
A character who can hear in Broadway's To Kill a Mockingbird took some getting used to.
So they had to explain how this would work several times.
This is the first time I've had to adjust, a character that's not about being deaf. The first time.
See, in every role he's ever had, Harvard digs into the background of how a character became deaf.
I just said, he's not deaf. This is how he communicates.
Director Bartlett Sher first saw Harvard in 2018. It was an off-Broadway show called I Was Most Alive with You.
What struck me about Russell is that he is a great actor, full stop. And I don't want the limitation of his deafness to be the reason he's not in the show, or to change the show to explain or interpret. Let's have him in the show, and maybe we have a way of doing it.
Hey, Mr. Dees.
Scum, Jim.
Aside from a few choice lines, he says, with his own voice, the kids, who act as narrators in the play, would speak what Harvard signs.
You ain't thin-hided. It makes you sick, don't it?
All theater is its own autonomous work of art and has its own rules. So I am going on the principle that the rules of this moment of the piece is that he communicates like this and people speak it, and when you're there, it makes you lean forward and take it in on a completely different level.
Were you worried that audiences might be a little confused?
I was hopeful.
For Harvard, it's not that he doesn't want to play deaf characters. He's a proud and active part of the deaf community. Founding a group that made American Sign Language music videos for popular songs. Starting a deaf theater company in Austin, Texas, and regularly performing Broadway music with ASL, like this song from Dear Evan Hansen at events like Broadway Signs.
I'm waving through a window.
It's just that roles for deaf actors are few and far between.
I don't want to say that it's hard, but it has definitely been a struggle.
At first, you are like you are now.
Which is why this experience for Harvard has extra meaning.
It's my first approach in this way as an actor, and it's a blessing, and I'm hoping that it's going to set an example or a standard for other productions, and many, to bring in many other deaf actors.
It expands the boundaries for what's possible in terms of how we communicate, how we interpret, and who we hire.
The world feels slow catching up to your instinct of what it should be.
Harvard is hopeful that casting directors can catch up so more deaf actors can feel the way he does today.
I appreciate my job a lot, more than I ever had before.
In Midtown, Chris Welch, Fox 5 News.
Impressive. Next week, Russell and the entire cast of To Kill a Mockingbird will be performing the play in front of 20,000 school kids at Madison Square Garden. That'll be the first time a Broadway play has ever been performed at MSG, which is so cool.
It is. I know a couple kids going.